when we're thinking about happiness at work, your boss can have a huge effect on how happy or unhappy you feel at work. So what can we do if we've got a boss that's making us unhappy? Well, somebody told me a long time ago, the only defense against bad management is to cease to care. And I remember thinking, I don't really agree with that. It's a defense, and it's probably the first thing that would spring to mind if you had a bad manager, would be that you would cease to care. But I think that's unacceptable and really sad if you start to not care about your job. Because remember, you're there for 5 days a week of your whole life doing something that you don't care about. I don't think that's good enough. So I think the first option, if you've got a bad boss, is to try to retrain them. So if your boss doesn't communicate enough, then say to them, could we do more communicating? If your boss micromanages you, say to them, how about if I just do this and report once a week on progress? Or do you need to know every detail? Because I could just do this. It's using up a lot of your time to monitor me in detail when I always do a good job, don't I? So you don't need to check. So I think trying to retrain your boss is the first option. It's not an easy one, I admit, but I think it's a much better first step than just ceasing to care, because that's giving up. The second option, before you cease to care, is to leave, because this is 5 days a week of your life. So I would rather leave a job that I'm not happy than put up with it. And remember, you could move within the company, so you don't have to leave the organisation that you work for. But even if you have to leave the organisation, I think you should, rather than to have a boss who makes you unhappy. The third option, if you can't retrain your boss and you can't leave, would be to stay but not care. And I think that's a terrible choice. It would be impossible for me to do that. I couldn't do a job I didn't believe in. And you're not allowed to do that option. Even if you could do it, you mustn't, because you're wasting your life. So you've got to either retrain your boss or leave. Now, retraining is not easy, and it does take a bit of courage and a bit of persistence. But you've got walkaway power, haven't you? Because if it doesn't work, you're going to leave. So you've got nothing to lose. Once you realise that if this doesn't work, you're going to leave, then you can try anything with your boss. And I absolutely think you should. But the one thing I would say is be diplomatic. So don't say to the boss, you're a useless boss. You're going to have to change the way you manage me. That's not going to go well. But you could say something like, I know you're busy, but it would really make me happy if you could communicate a bit more with me. Or it would really make me happy if we could have a meeting every Monday where you keep me up to date with what you're doing. And the main thing is to ask for something concrete. Don't just say to them, it would make me happy if you communicated more, but if we could have a meeting every Monday, then that's something the boss can easily visualize. And in fact, they would be churlish to refuse that, wouldn't they? It's so easy for them to say, yeah, good idea, let's have a Monday meeting. So we're not criticizing the boss, and we're not even asking for something vague. We're asking for something concrete that they could do. Would it be possible for us to work like this? Because I think it would make me happier and it would save you time. Wouldn't that be a good idea? And if you want much more information about what to do with bad bosses, I've made a whole separate course on this subject. I've listed all the bad things that bosses do and what you can do about each one of those things. So please do check that out as well if you have a problem with a bad boss. So retrain your boss. If that doesn't work, leave, but never do a job that you don't care about.